Today's video is a bit strange, isn't it? Because as you can tell, something weird is going on here. 680 horsepower and a 30 kilowatt hour battery is just a bit weird. So before we get into what's going on, thank you very much for joining me. It's really nice to see so many people subscribing to the channel. I'm Ben Alexander and I talk about the latest EV news around the world every single day. Stick around until the end, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments, and also thank you very much to the people that support me with, I think it's about $3 a month on YouTube memberships, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. I really appreciate the help, thank you. So the BYD brand has a couple of sub-brands, so it's just like Toyota and Lexus as a comparison. So it's the same sort of thing, but a different part of the brand's identity. Sometimes manufacturers do this and it doesn't entirely make sense. BYD have a sub-brand called Fangcheng Bao, I think it's called, which is a Chinese brand, and they will sell this car, the Leopard 5, abroad too at some point in the future. But at the moment, Leopard 5 is being launched for the Chinese market only, and later on around the world at some point, we don't know when, and it is a bit speculative, but we can kind of, it all makes sense that they're going to sell this around the world to some degree. Probably not the USA though. There are no details on it to explain where in the world, presumably not the US because of the Trump tariffs, which is a bit of an issue. 27% tax on top of the cost to bring the car into the US. That's a bit of an issue. BYD also hasn't been doing very well in Europe. And Europe is a huge market. So at first they sold like crazy, and then the sales mysteriously just dropped off a cliff. They just vanished. I think maybe all the people that wanted one and could get one went and got one, and then that's it. I don't think people are sort of swayed as much in Europe. But the MG4 is still doing really well, especially in the UK. And I think everyone agrees that the MG4 is basically set up just right for UK roads. I can hear you all asking me to hurry up with the details, so let's get into the bones of the story. Even though it looks to be kind of like a Land Cruiser, Toyota Land Cruiser, it's not as simple underneath as a Land Cruiser. It's not just a regular four-wheel drive gearbox and a diesel engine. This is full of technological wizardry. In a nutshell, it will have a 30 kilowatt hour Blade LFP battery from BYD, because it kind of is a BYD, and two motors. So one at the front with 200 kilowatts of power, and the one at the rear is 250 kilowatt. And also, this is where it gets interesting, a 1.5 litre petrol engine. Bit of a strange setup, I hear you say. The engine is very much there just to charge the battery. Just that. So which in turn, the battery powers the motors. So that's why it can travel 1,200 kilometers, they say, without stopping. It's not quite a hybrid. It's still an EV, but it's a type of range extender. So for example, if you remember the BMW i3, they vanished pretty much entirely these days. There's just a few lurking around. It's a big thing. It's almost 5 meters long, the Leopard 5, and almost 2 meters high. So it's a really, it's a full-size 4x4. It's a big beast. Just to give you a clue how big Fangcheng Bao brand is going to be, they will start their sales from 100 stores in China alone, in 60 different cities. That's the size of the Chinese EV market. It's massive. More than half of the world's EVs are sold in China. I'm aware that only one of these store locations, though, is kind of the brand's own store. So I'm not really sure what the arrangement is, when they are selling the car at places. So maybe they'll sell at little rented spaces in shopping malls or something. I don't know. Do I think they've ruined it with the engine? Yes, of course. I can't see it being viable to repair it in 10 years, for example. When it gets to 10 years old, there will likely be some sort of maintenance to be done and repairs, and it's going to be more complex than a standard vehicle with a small engine or something on a basic EV, for example. Go and ask a mechanic just how easy it isn't to work on an engine in a Toyota Prius. And it generally is a pain to work on them, but granted, the Toyota Prius is a really good car, and I always see them for sale with over 500,000 or 600,000 kilometers on them. So if they make them right from factory, it will last much, much longer. And I know someone actually with a Prius that is still driving it as a daily with over 600,000 kilometers on it. Original timing chain, lots of oil changes, and it's a brilliant car. It drives really, really well. I've driven it. So the price of the Leopard 5 will be around roughly 55,000 US dollars up to 80,000 for the high-end version. That's not bad given how it appears to be. Inside it looks fancy, outside looks really well. It's super, super fast. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, 4 seconds. I think it looks great, kind of like the Land Rover or a Toyota Land Cruiser, for example. I haven't made up my mind which I think it looks most like. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. You can pay extra to get a version with adaptive hydraulic suspension that will actually raise up the car and down, for example, at your house when you go towards a driveway if there's a bit of a raise, that sort of thing. If that's your cup of tea, you can pay extra money for that. I'm sure some people will. I would love to see if they make a pure EV version of this, and I really think it could do well in places like Australia. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you all think about that? But I do like the shape of the newer Land Rovers, and the ones that are out these days, the new ones, they look really good. But I would never get one unless I lived on a farm and I needed to tow something. But they look great, I think. Also, I have been saying that the BYD Seal, this is just a quick note, the BYD Seal will be launched in Australia in August, this month, as BYD actually told me it would be, but someone recently told me in the comments, so thank you for the heads up, that the Seal isn't coming until September now. And I know it's only a couple of weeks, but I still, I can't wait, and I'm quite excited. And I also can't wait to go to the party again, and I'm staying away from those churros, if any of you can remember what happened last time. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button for me so that YouTube know that people are enjoying my videos, and subscribe for more daily videos about electric vehicles.